This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
Hello, fantasy book and video game nerds. This is Ryan, joined with my good friend Jake. We're not quite lifelong friends, although we are good enough friends to have just gone to a concert together in California. So if you like the format and you like Fantology, this is the
This is the
perfect place for
episode.
you to be.
Yeah.
Um, Well, today, Jake and I will be discussing video game and book adaptations because there's just, I think, a lot of people, the Venn diagram of people who, you know, have both interests, I think, the center circle or the overlapping portion is pretty large. And I think that just has to do with maybe the media is similar, video games and books with expansive worlds, great characters, compelling stories, just entice us in either form.
Yeah, and lots of good I feel like sci-fi and fantasy are hits when it comes to video games, and that's what we love to read. So,
All right. Well, why don't we start off by talking about some good video game to book adaptations? Now, I'm sure there's a long list of video game to book adaptations, but Jake and I are specifically going to be talking about ones that we have a lot of knowledge of either by playing or, watching reviews, etc.
and do you mean the inverse things that were books originally and became video games?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
started off in the written form, transformed into video games.
Yeah. Um, man, this is not one of those at all, but it did it did make me think, how have we not had a Ready Player One video game? A book
Interesting.
about video games that became a movie about video games, but not a video game.
I mean, I feel like the licensing for that would be kind of a nightmare, right? Because you'd have to license so many
Yeah.
like 80s, early 70s, 80s video games in a modern video game. Now, I don't know that that couldn't be done. I mean, they made a movie, but licensing other video games for a current video game might be a little bit harder.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get into that in the later part of this episode where we talk about what makes a good adaptation, but how they might be able to swing that. But yeah, I think when it comes to video games that came from a book, I feel like the like paragon has got to be The Witcher, specifically The Witcher 3. Um, which is interesting because that whole series takes place post um, the Witcher book series. So it's not like an
Hmm.
adaptation of the story, it's a continuation of the story. Um, which I think was probably a good call on that. Um,
So Witcher 3 is interesting, for that point. Like it's such a good game because you know, largely I think the developers just kind of gain steam with each game. And Witcher's 1 and 2, I think were like not like super popular. Not that they were bad games, but I think Witcher 3 is just one of the
yeah,
greatest video games ever, and it's also adapted from a book. Um, and I mean, I don't even it's got like interesting elements from the book, like, just with Witcher, a monster hunter. Um, but like the fact that they're not following like a pre-written plot. Well, so there are pieces of the plot from the short stories, right?
I'm gonna be real with you. I never finished The Witcher 3. I had the chance I got to the point where you leave the first town. Like I finished the quest with the Baron,
Oh no.
and I got stuck thinking, I lost every game of Gwent in that town. Do I go back and reload saves to to try to beat some people in Gwent, and then I just didn't continue because I couldn't decide what to do there. But from what I experienced there, there was nothing from the books.
So I think there are quests that are from the short stories.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yeah. So there's definitely and so there's definitely a lot of inspiration from the books. Um,
And it's a continuation of the story. Like you still
yeah.
have like the three main characters, mostly the two, but yeah.
Hmm. So I mean, my thoughts on this are that a great video game can come from maybe like a mediocre book and vice
Yeah,
versa. And not that I'm calling The
for
Witcher
sure.
mediocre. Not
No,
that
I
I'm calling
really
The Witcher mediocre at all. The books. I haven't read them, so I couldn't say exactly, but um I just think you have to expand so much on the characters and, the environment and the interactions every day, like, or that you experience as like a character with NPCs, that it's, just you can either, most people fall flat on their face, or you can do very well like CD Projekt Red did.
Yeah, I agree that they're not like you don't necessarily have to have a strong foundation one way or the other. Um, but I do think if you do have like a really good book and then you have a team that knows how to like leverage that, then you get something like The Witcher. I really like the Witcher books. And I think they were able to really capture the essence of the characters, which is like a huge part, while also um, figure out how to, based on the world that it's in, how to recreate that world, make it feel alive, which I think they nailed, and then also how to gamify it, literally, like how can
Hmm.
we exist in this world and how can we make this fun hours on end. And I think they really nailed that. And yeah, and I think like yeah, people have done similar games in quality, but part of the amazing aspect of that was realizing the world and characters that already existed there. So
Um, the other interesting aspect of The Witcher is just that I think the conflict between the author and the studio that made the video game CD Projekt, just I've
yeah,
heard that um is it Andres Sapkowski?
something like that.
He he's not really a fan of how his books were adapted into video games.
I I kind of feel like it's more he for sure was upset with the monetary deal. And I wonder if that is what's really
Oh,
souring
okay.
his because they offered him a percentage and he's like, no, I just want a flat fee. And then they got huge. And then after they got huge, he started to demand a percentage back. And they're like,
Hmm.
we offered that deal to you and you rejected it. Basically, you had no faith in this
Yeah,
project, and now that
that does ring a bell now. Yeah, he was basically like, I don't think this is gonna make any money.
which
Which I
is
mean,
like fine. Yeah.
to be fair, like, so CD Projekt Red is a Polish game studio, which,
Yeah.
has kind of become like, I don't want to say a household name because game studios aren't really household names, but as far as gaming goes,
Yeah.
like they're one of the biggest AAA developers that people, I mean, I was gonna say that people trust, but after
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk,
kind of screwed him on that.
it definitely screwed them over a little bit.
But up to
Um,
that point, like
yeah,
the trust going into Cyberpunk was huge. Like
yeah,
people were all on board.
for sure. And so I mean, if I was in his shoes, I'm like, there's this Polish game studio that, who knows what they had to their name before Witcher 3. I'd be like, of course they're not like royalties. I'll probably make, $50. Of course I would take the flat rate.
Yeah. And like they didn't really get to that point until game 3, right? So
Yeah,
And like I don't think I mean obviously in hindsight like he should have done the percentage thing. But like at the time, like I think it was probably the least risk adverse thing to do for money.
right.
Um so like I don't think there's anything wrong that he did the deal. The wrong part is like trying to go back and then ask for more money and being upset when they don't give it to you.
And I
And
think I think that it was maybe a deal to make the first three games,
I don't know.
and then later on they extended it. Like there was some debate whether there would be a Witcher 4. And I
Mm.
think maybe it was because of this dispute. So,
But the
but but going off of the our conversation here, Jake, I think you need to finish the Witcher video games, and I actually need to read some of the books.
Yeah, we need to make that trade because
Mhm.
something that's cool is there's so much left open in the Witcher world because the books are very I wouldn't call them epic fantasy in the way that like Lord of the Rings or Wheel of Time or Stormlight is. It's more like it feels more like the world is vibrant and rich and like exists, but you're only getting like a very small snapshot of it as you follow the characters. And so I
Hmm.
think the video games have had a great opportunity to like go explore those other things that are built into the world but not super explored in the books. Um, but yeah, I agree. I will finish it after I'm done with Baldur's Gate and after maybe I don't know. I want to really play The Last of Us as well because I haven't played those. But
So, speaking of Baldur's Gate, I don't believe there's a Baldur's Gate book, but it's
yeah,
definitely like, Forgotten Realms inspired. And it, I mean, so once again, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, but I have played Baldur's Gate 2 a long time ago.
that's
And
crazy. Did you like
uh,
it?
yeah, it was really cool. The thing that I liked the most about it was that you could play as Driss Duerden from
Oh,
the R.A. Salvatore books, and you could have his like twin scimitars, Icing Death and Twinkle. And it was like so cool. And I think you could play as like Artemis and Triri from those books too. So, but I mean, I feel like that's got to be, especially after Baldur's Gate 3, that's got to be one of the most successful, literary to video game adaptations.
yeah. Like, do we count like source books as books for adaptation? Because kind of, I mean, you could say the same for the Cyberpunk video game as well. Then, um, but yeah,
I mean, so I feel like Forgotten Realms to Baldur's Gate is a little bit more of like a
is it?
direct line.
I don't know. I didn't read any of the Forgotten Realms books. I only know it as a setting
But
from
it's
D
it's
and
like
D.
it's like a world, an inspired world.
Yeah, same with Cyberpunk though. Like
What
uh
world was it inspired from?
Cyberpunk, the
There's a
tabletop
cyber
game.
there's a cyberpunk tabletop game?
Yeah, it's an adaptation of the Cyberpunk TT RPG.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
so like and it's kind of done the same thing from The Witcher 3 where the last story that existed in that world was probably like I think like 10 or 50 years before the Cyberpunk game. So like Johnny Silverhand is a big character in the Cyberpunk franchise. What's Adam Smasher is a big character in that franchise.
Oh
Um
my gosh. You're blowing my mind right now.
yeah. Yeah. Um so yeah, I don't know if there's books like in the same way there's like the Dritz books or anything like that, but
Okay.
definitely like source books and settings.
If there wasn't before the game came out, there probably is now.
Yeah. Oh man, I really want to play that game. It's so many games to add to the list. Um,
Um,
yeah, I'd say the Witcher is probably like the standout book to video game adaptation. Other ones I've played would be like The Lord of the Rings. but those are more like the movies adapted to books, the games I've played.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So there's definitely that the hack and slash like game original games that I played on like PlayStation 2.
yeah, I
Is that
love
where you played
those.
it too?
Yeah,
Yeah, so those were definitely great. I mean, yeah, I agree. Like it's kind of like book to movie to video game. Um, but I mean, even the characters in the video game look like the actors. So,
yeah. Like it's a licensed movie game, but
mhm.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know any others. Those are the only ones I can really think of for me. I guess there's the
So,
Dune game that's out right now. I haven't played it, but I've heard it's really fun.
right, right. So, I mean, I was looking at that. It's kind of like a survival game, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's hard with some of these like Dune and Lord of the Rings because the catalog of video games that these works have inspired is just like so long. Um, but there's a real-time strategy Dune game on Steam, probably elsewhere. There's this I don't remember the name, but this Dune survival game. And those are just
Awakening,
recent. Dune Awakening,
I
that's
think
what it's
so.
called.
Yeah. Yeah, they use I guess I thought it was a feature that you if you like leveled up enough and like built enough gear that you could ride Shai Hulud. But I guess I had seen videos of it and people were cheesing it and like kind of like not cheating, but just like exploiting the game to ride it. And so they updated it now. So if you touch it at all, you just instantly die. Just kind of a bummer. But I've heard it's really cool. Like you start out, it's kind of like Ark or Minecraft, probably more similar to Ark than Minecraft or Power World. But you start off, you're in the desert, and it's like my buddy was telling me, he's like, yeah, join if you join our server, all you got to do is build your tent, and the first thing you do is build your desert bike and bike over to our camp, and we'll set you up. So like they got like all these like uh what's it called? Like the water harvesters. I don't know. Like they're
Okay.
yeah.
So my from what I've seen of the game and my critique of these types of games, it's kind of similar to Rust a little bit. I don't know if you've played Rust.
I haven't, but
Um,
yeah, I've heard of it.
um, it's very like time consuming. And if you play on like these multiplayer servers, both to like keep up as well as like defend yourself against other players. And I've even heard in this game, which there might be an option to disable it, at least in single player, but if you don't play for like a week or 2 weeks, like your base just automatically gets
Um,
destroyed or something along those lines, which is, it's like
yeah,
I
so
don't play video
grindy.
games that consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be hard. And that is kind of why I haven't gotten into it because survival games can be so fun and addicting for me. Like I got really into Power World when
I did too.
that was the thing. But then and like man, I wish Power World had on console had the seamless servers. But then yeah, you get to the point where you're like, I have to go do this thing so then I can level up so I can do this other thing I want so then I can level up to do the real thing I want and you're just constantly
Hmm.
stuck and as soon as you get that thing that was originally your goal that you were like 4 steps behind then you're like all right now I'm looking 4 steps ahead again and it's just like there's like no way to chill.
Hmm.
um but it is really fun when you're caught in the loop.
Yeah. And then you realize like 4 hours has passed and we
Yeah.
have real world responsibilities. Um,
um,
so we mentioned a couple books that were a couple of video games adapted from books. Um, have you read any books that were adapted from video games?
I don't think I have books adapted from. Oh, I have actually. Yeah, I read some of the Halo books.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I read. I read the first three books that are like the first two books. Book one, I think, is like The Fall of Reach, which takes place before the video games.
Yeah.
Two is The Flood, and that I think covers the first game. And then book three is First Strike, which is I think it's like in
In
between.
between one and two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those books, I haven't reread them recently. So I read them back when I was like in middle school or high school, and I really liked them.
Yeah, I got very addicted to Halo in high school, playing Halo
Hmm
3 at Ben and Josh's house after school. And like we'd play co-op, but then I got to the point where like if they were playing ping pong, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play the story mode like by myself. I was just like, and then Steven and I would co-op the story, the campaign together, and I was like, this story is so cool. And then I don't know where my parents get it, but I feel like every couple months they just come home with a box of books from like DI or something. I don't know, just like used books. And I think just two of them were in there, the Fall of Reach and then the one that's in between one and two.
Oh, okay,
Um,
First Strike.
yeah. And I don't think I read First Strike. I definitely read Fall of Reach because that like it goes through the whole like Spartan program and they're like fighting the
Yeah.
rebels, but then they realize like, oh, here come the flood and yeah,
hmm
I was I was really into that. I was like, I need just more Halo story. But then I think I didn't read the other one because I knew I was missing a book in between. But
Okay. Well, if you played the first Halo, that's basically it.
yeah,
But so at the time, I felt like those did a great job of like expanding the world, especially the Fall of Reach, where like you said, it goes into the Spartan program, like why John Spartan 117 was selected and how he became Master Chief.
because he was
Um,
basically Matt Cawthon and had luck.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's a good, I'd never connected those.
Yeah.
He's the Matt Cawthon of the Halo series.
I
Um,
I wonder if those hold up. I really hope they do.
uh-huh. Yeah. Somebody's gonna listen to this and be like, I'm gonna go read those books and be like, they're awful.
Yeah.
Um, so and in in my research for this episode, I was looking up like books that were inspired from video games, and it was like shocking. It was shocking because pretty much every big video game gets a book adaptation. Like
Really?
so many of the ones you could think of, um, like Gears of War, BioShock, to name a few, like Assassin's Creed. There's tons of Assassin's Creed books. Um, Warcraft, there's lots of Warcraft books. Um, so I mean it's a pretty popular thing, which is surprising, like as somebody as people who have read, a good amount of fantasy sci-fi. Um, we haven't read that many book adaptations of video games.
Despite what we just said, I it just feels like they can't be that good. They feel like they're probably like cash grabs, like how can we make more money off of this IP?
Hmm
Even though
Yeah.
I just said I really enjoyed the Halo one. But
Yeah, maybe when we were younger and more susceptible to those cash grabs, except neither of us paid money for them.
yeah,
So I mean, there are a few other video games that maybe they weren't inspired by books, but they're definitely like successful adaptations. One of those you already mentioned, The Last of Us. Um,
yeah.
Started off as a video game and was then adapted into a successful TV show by HBO. Have you played any of The Last of Us?
No, I really want to. That's another reason. I have too many games on my list. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk about this later, but Expedition 33 is another game on my list. That
Mm-hmm.
one might be right after Baldur's Gate, honestly.
Yeah. So I've started both of those games. I've played a good amount of probably more of Expedition 33, but The Last of Us is like Such an emotional game.
Hmm.
Um, for me. And well, I think for a lot of people. It's emotional, it's dark, and I think that the tone for the games is pretty similar to the TV show. So it's interesting that it's interesting that it is like so popular. Like, what does that say about us as a society that these really dark stories become so popular?
Uh, I feel
I'm thinking of
like,
like Game of Thrones, that's
yeah,
also very dark.
I think part of it is like being able to explore the darker side. Like everyone, like life is pretty dark when you think about it, you know.
Hmm.
And this is like a safe way to explore that.
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of like also I feel like there's some like this is definitely trends, but like a trend of like trying to make things as like gritty and real as possible.
Hmm.
Doing that in a fantasy setting, like the more realistic you are, the darker it's gonna get, you know? Like like you can if you have a zombie world, like if you're trying to make it realistic, there's no way it's not dark. And even though The Last of Us, the darkness in The Last of Us goes way beyond the zombies. Like it's just human darkness. But
Right.
yeah.
And Fallout as well. I mean, it's definitely not as dark as The Last of Us. It's kind of like there's a
Yeah,
lot
it's a
of
brighter one.
humor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor in the world still, that carries over into the show, but still very gruesome.
Yeah. It's
Have you
like
played any of the Fallout video games?
no, and the show made me really want to play them, similar to The Last of Us. The hard thing I have is I've heard there's like they vary a lot in quality. And like some of the best stories are in games that don't have the best mechanics and vice
Okay.
versa. But I don't know. I've heard I can't remember if Fallout New Vegas is the one to play or not to play.
Um, I think a lot of people like Fallout New
That's
Vegas.
okay. Maybe that's one I've heard I should play then.
Hmm. So New Vegas is good. Fallout 3 is, very good. Um, and Fallout 4 I think is still good. So Fallout 4 is good, but maybe not quite as good. It's like Fallout 3 was Bethesda at its peak, and then New Vegas wasn't Bethesda, it was Obsidian, but still like around that peak time. And
Mhm.
which is so it's interesting that like this Fallout TV show has like come at a lull in the series, you know?
Yeah.
Um like we haven't had a true Fallout game since Fallout 4 came out in like I don't know, 2016 or 2017, something like that.
Mm.
Um but so I guess we've had Fallout 76. Um
Maybe that was the one people said not to play.
yeah, so that's like the more of like the MMO online game.
Oh.
Um, which it had like a terrible launch. I've heard it's a little bit better now, but still didn't really look like type of game I would enjoy.
Mm. MMOs are
Um,
other games similar to survival where they can get you in such like fun loops and like the social element is so fun, but a lot of
hmm.
times like I love Destiny and I just had to stop because it was just like a constant like grind, you know,
Yeah.
just like I felt like I had to play like a part-time job in order to get to the end game content before everything reset again. And so I was like, this is not
Hmm.
worth it. But
So it's interesting that you bring that up. When I try and like think of what I love, the most about some of these fantastic both adaptations and original games. Like some of them, like The Witcher and Fallout, they're more like open world games. Some of them are more linear, like just ba like story, like The Last of Us. I feel like it's mainly the care that the studio puts into it because there's like some books that have been adapted like Gollum that from big IPs that maybe
Yeah,
didn't turn out. So it's like and also
yeah,
when
that
when
Gollum
it
game.
when it feels like it's they care more about like the story than maybe those some of those like loops to try and like keep players playing. It,
Yeah,
it's it's like w when they put a lot of care into the story, into the world, and less so on trying to gimmick people into spending more money on the game.
yeah, I think it's
Um,
similar like with art in general. Like, are you creating it for the art? Or are you creating it for the money? And
hmm
obviously, in today's world, like any big successful thing of art is going to have an element that's made for the money. Like that's
hmm
you're not going to get the investment otherwise. But it's like what balance are you having there? Like I think you see that with TV, with movies, even with books, you know, where you can tell like, oh, you're just like you found a formula and you're going with it, or are you actually like, do you care about this? Or you care about creating something versus selling a product? But that's one thing I like. Destiny has some of the best stories in it, I feel like. And I don't know, Bungie, a company like that, they probably have, two different departments, the creative department and then the
Finance.
monetization. Yeah.
hmm
But
I'm sure there's a lot of conflict
yeah.
between them. Um, so for the most exciting portion of our show, what video games do you think, or sorry, what books do you think would make an excellent adaptation into video game form? And let's just say that your favorite video game developer is doing that, whether it's CD Projekt Red or Bethesda or whoever developed Expedition 33 or Larian Studios.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because like we talked about, it doesn't necessitate good source material to make a good
hmm
video game. And so like the criteria I would think about is what are worlds I would want to play in, or what are uh
Yeah.
stories I'd want to experience that way. Um, so if we're going worlds, I definitely think um man, like the Wheel of Time would be good.
Yeah.
Could be fun. It would be hard. I don't know how I would take that actually, because I'd want to be participating in the overarching like big story, and like how would you do that from a video game perspective without it being
hmm
just you're playing Rand, you know? Um, but yeah, that would be a fun world to live in. I think most of the Sanderson stuff feel like very translatable to video
Yeah.
game settings, whether it's open world or not. Um, yeah, what do you think?
So so it's like I totally agree with what you said about it needs to have like a great story or a great world. The third thing that I think is that there's like, an element of the books that would be really fun, to
Um,
play in a
yeah,
video
to
game.
do. Yeah.
And so the things that I would find exciting, of course, like with Mistborn, you could like you said, a lot of Sanderson systems would translate well because I think the magic systems are well defined. So it would be like exciting to be able to, use those like use magic in a video game, like be a Mistborn with like pushing on metal and fighting Steel Inquisitors. Um, the other one that I was thinking would be exciting. So I know there's like a lot of A Song of Ice and Fire games or like video games already.
Are there? I
Uh,
haven't played any of them. Are
yeah,
any
there's
of
one
them
that
good?
I mean, the fact that we haven't really like we don't know them by name means that they're not like um there's probably none that are like, amazing. I'm
Hmm.
sure there are some that are like, fun, especially if it's like a genre that you like, but probably nothing the caliber of games that we primarily play nowadays because we play so few video games because we don't have that much time.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, imagine like Game of Thrones, but kind of like in the style of the Lord of the Rings hack and slash games that like we played on
Yeah.
the PlayStation 2.
Or like Lord of
Um,
the Rings Conquest, but you're retaking or you're forging your seven kingdoms as
yeah,
Aegon
yeah.
the Conqueror.
So it's like maybe a civilization type game. Um,
Yeah.
or I mean, so there are board games that are kind of like adapted into video games that are so like
Or vice versa. Yeah.
they're similar. But I was thinking like hack and slash or somehow related to like flying on dragons. Um, I feel like there's not really any amazing video games that like implement like dragon riding.
Yeah. There was this video game I played on the Sega Saturn called Panzer Dragon, and it was really cool. The whole game, it was one of those it was kind of like Star Fox where like you're flying, but
Uh-huh.
you're just like you're
Like
always going
going
forward
left
and
and
you
right, up and down, or like
yeah.
shooting.
Yeah, and you're just like shooting and you fought crazy
Mm-hmm.
monsters. That was cool. Yeah, I don't know any like dragon flying games. I feel like flying in video games is kind of hard for games to do well. Like if you're going to be flying that much to make it feel fun. I've heard the new
Mm-hmm.
Avatar game is really fun, actually.
Is that
Um,
Frontiers of Pandora?
I think so. Yeah, I have a
Okay.
coworker who she spent so much time playing it. She loves it.
Hmm.
Um, and I assume you fly around on those things in that game. But
Uh, Tarak Makto.
oh yeah, you got it.
Is that
I think he is Torak. I think Torak is the name of the, or maybe the Makto is the big one. I don't know. I can't remember if that means rider or the big one.
we're
I
just
used
like it's just how little we like remember from that.
I used to steal Ben and Josh's smartphones in choir in high school to look up Navi words to try to learn it.
Oh, nice. Nice. It's probably not quite as well developed as the Tolkien languages, but
No, not the same, but yeah, that's the other interesting thing about adaptations though, of like you could have a great book that is very adaptable, but they adapt it the wrong way. Like
mm-hmm.
like if you did a Song of Ice and Fire video game that was just about fighting White Walkers, that would be kind of boring after a while, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a cool part of the story, but you're not like leveraging like what it is to be in that world, you know?
Unless you're like a wildling, like like a survival game in the
Yeah.
North Beyond the Wall.
Yeah, it's like you can make a survival game out of that book. You could make a like real-time strategy game out of that
Mm-hmm.
series or you could honestly do like a just like a one player game, you know, through a lot of it. I guess a lot of it is like more intrigue, but yeah, I don't know. Like I think there could be a perfect video game adaptation of almost any book, but you just have to fit the right thing. I think Mistborn would be
Right.
really good for like a Red Dead Redemption style game, like something a little more Grand Theft Auto-y and like
Okay.
in the Lord Rulers um Empire still. Whereas like
Mm-hmm.
Stormlight, I feel like would have to be more of a I don't know, like more of a like plot-driven story where you're like developing your powers and like leveling up that way.
That would be cool. And then you like based on the choices you make, like would determine the spren you bond and the powers, like
Yeah,
the powers you get. That would be very cool.
I would love to see Joe Abercrombie's works adapted into a video game to see if they could do it like a something akin to like The Witcher 3 where your your choices matter, but they also like thinking back again, I only played like the first third of the game, if that much. But the Witch's Bog, the Hags storyline, do you remember
Hmm.
that? I
Is
went
that with the
back,
with the kids?
yeah, I went back and I was like, that was the bad ending. And then I played it again. I'm like, all these endings suck. Like, I feel like a game like that could be if they could develop like a very character focused, like plot flow focused first law game. I think that's the only way that game would really work and be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, for the first law, though, I feel like the video game would almost have to be written by Joe Abercrombie in
Yeah,
order for it to have the same like sense of humor, the same like character writing that he does in that world. I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure you could, like, so I don't know. That's what's special to me about the first law is like the dark humor and the characters, and so it's like I don't know how, for me, how well that would translate into video game if somebody else is doing it.
Or well, I mean, we're just assuming we have the best of the best doing this. And so like
Yeah,
implementation is perfect.
that's
I
true. That's true.
I think an adaptation like The Last of Us would probably be better than like the Witcher
Hmm.
3, where it's like you're experiencing it as a movie, basically, that you are playing. Um,
Oh, could you imagine like a HBO adaptation of The First Law?
man, it could be so good. I also think the Devils, I don't know, how would you adapt the Devils into a video game? Would it be like a party game, uh like a co-op multiplayer where
It
each
would
person,
have to be.
yeah,
Yeah, you've got like the Misfits, Suicide
yeah,
Squad
yeah,
type
pick
thing.
choose your character.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That would be funny if it like covered a large period of time and it's like every time somebody dies, it just like gives you somebody else with like random like skills or like magic powers, like
yeah,
how they always talk what were they saying like they always have like the priest always dies or
yeah, yeah. They're like our last priest.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Um there's also I mean a few things that now, this is, I think, a question that I'm maybe fishing for an answer, but if you could have like an amazing book based on a video game, what video game would it be? Or yeah, what video game or world?
I was before we go there, Malazan I think would have huge potential for video
Okay.
games
Oh
for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah. Yeah. And that's like there's just so many places you can go in that
So
world.
many.
You could
Yeah.
make that's like, a video game of almost unlimited
Yeah.
potential.
Yeah. All right, but you're asking now the opposite. What video game would I want to see a book out of? Like, would I read
Yeah.
a book series of?
Hmm.
I mean, so you're fishing. So I'm
Well,
guessing
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer.
I like I said, Destiny, there's so much to the Destiny universe. It was always a joke in the community that the best stories in Destiny are all like world building for the plot you're playing. It's like,
Mm,
why can't I be playing like these like super amazing stories? I've probably listened to hundreds of hours of Destiny lore videos
hmm.
from Mylan Games YouTube's channel.
Now, it seems like there should be Destiny books.
I don't know. It's made by Bungie as well. I don't know if there are. I would not trust the quality to be that great, but
Right, but we're claiming that these are
Yeah. Yeah.
Halo book adaptation caliber, at least Halo of the past.
Yeah. Um,
Maybe
I
there aren't. Maybe
I
there
feel
aren't
like
book.
I'm surprised
Uh,
you didn't get into it.
so I did get into Destiny 2 at the launch.
Oh, that's right, you
Um,
did. Yeah. Yeah.
and I had a lot of fun there. Uh, but I kind of I like you, I was like there was just like a lot of like play every week to get
Yeah.
this or like do these events and like the gameplay loop kind of got a little stale to me and I like after I initially played it I heard that like they kind of like got rid of the single player campaign or something along those lines
Yeah, like a couple years in, they like sunset it so you couldn't access it anymore.
and
It
it's
was
like
ridiculous.
why would you do that like
They didn't have enough space, they're saying. Like they couldn't run the game with all the assets. And so they started to like shelve content. Um, yeah,
mm.
it's ridiculous.
Um, so but I did look up like books for Destiny, and I see like grimoire anthologies, and
Yeah,
th-
but
there's an
not
official cookbook.
interesting. I bet there's ramen in there. Ramen was a big part of Destiny 2's launch.
Um, maybe like there's like a comic collection, but
Yeah.
okay, so that's a good answer.
Yeah, Destiny has a lot of good back. Is Baldur's Gate the fishing answer?
No, not for me. So for me, and you probably have done this too, but I've watched tons of Vati Vidya videos
Oh, yes,
of Elden
yes,
Ring,
yes.
and it's like
So,
such
yeah.
an incredible world, and you're playing it, and the whole time, at least I was kind of like, I don't know, I don't really understand what I'm doing, but
Yeah,
I'm doing it. Like
yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I'm slaying this like weird uh guy that transformed into a serpent, and I don't know what the heck is the story?
Together.
Yeah. It's like pretty much any like from soft game I feel like would have incredible like books
Yeah.
if the correct person adapted it.
Yeah, I've played Elden Ring and Dark Souls 1 and probably am a third to half the way through Bloodborne. And Dark Souls, I haven't really watched much videos on Dark Souls. I've watched a lot on Elden Ring and Bloodborne, and I think those two both would be really good books,
Hmm.
or movies or TV shows. I know there's an Elden Ring movie adaptation in the works, and
There's an
uh,
Elden Ring movie adaptation in the works.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. And I again, speaking of like you have to find the right adaptation, I don't think the Elden Ring movie of you're following the Tarnished to go claim the Elden Ring. I don't think that would be a good
No.
movie.
Mm-mm.
But what would be a good movie is like the the Black
Radagon.
yeah, Radagon story, the Black Knives, but or the Night of Black Knives, whatever that is, like where Godwin was assassinated, or there's so much like
Hmm.
kind of similar to Destiny where there's like so much good like underlying lore to like prop up the game that
Yeah.
like and then if you've never played Bloodborne, Bloodborne has such a cool story to it. It starts out like very gothic feeling, like werewolves, vampires, kind of monsters. And then like as you dive into it, you realize like, oh, this is very much more like Lovecraftian and
Hmm.
like you've peered into knowledge that your mind wasn't able to comprehend, so now you're like going insane. And there's a mechanic in the game called I think Insight. It's kind of like humanity in Dark Souls 1. I don't know if there's an equivalent to it in Elden Ring. I'm trying to think. But basically, every time you defeat a boss or enter a boss arena, you get more insight, and there's other ways to gain it. And once you like at different thresholds, you start to be able to see things in the world you couldn't see before, like giant monsters just like hanging off of buildings that were always there,
Oh.
but you couldn't see them because you didn't have enough insight. And
Hmm.
there's one area where like if I walked through this square, I'd all of a sudden like fly in the air and like get thrown off the cliff. And then with enough insight, you can see the actual monster like pick you up and throw you rather than just like you're flying through the air. But
Hmm.
so there's such good vibes and backstories and like lots of tragic characters and all of From Soft stuff, I feel like. But
So for those games and also like Zelda games,
mm,
do you think there's like a cohesive story they have in mind when they make the game, or they're more just kind of like these are really like cool elements and or like really good gameplay and they just sort of put it together sometimes.
I don't know. I feel like there's like a team working on gameplay, just like gameplay mechanics, and there's a team working on like creature design and things like that. And then there's a team that is focusing on story. And then I kind of feel like the story drives for a game like Elden Ring and like Zelda probably. I feel like the story drives everything. And then it's like, okay, here's our story. How would these like creatures that have been like all this concept art of creatures, how can we throw them in? Or they'll let them know during the process of, hey, we're like this is how the story's going. We need concept art for all these things. And then the mechanics as well. I think it's like I don't know. I wonder how much of a story is impacted by, hey, isn't this like a really fun gameplay loop we've developed? Like, how can we
Hmm.
incorporate this in there? Not sure. I mean, with the Souls games, like the gameplay has been basically the same since Demon Souls. Like each game has its own uniqueness to it, but
Yeah, the world changes, but you're playing very similarly in each game.
yeah.
Um, well, I think that about wraps up most or all of my thoughts about adaptations. Were there any other video game or book adaptations?
Yeah, I mean, just to hit some off, I think Lord of the Rings still has a lot to explore in terms of other video games. Um, and like both like more open world and story driven ones. I think the Fall of Huron would be a really good more character story focused like The Last of Us. Um,
Is that the story of Shinar?
Turin Turambar,
Wait, what's and oh man, I was getting it confused with
Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. Sorry.
Yeah, Wheel of Time, yeah, tons there. I I couldn't get into Dresden, and I wonder if there is a way to make a game I would get into out of the Dresden books.
I
Stephen had
mean,
a note there I wanted to make sure we hit on.
Dresden Files is like, Dresden the character, and so you couldn't it's hard for me to imagine a game without playing as him as the main character.
So it could be like a Witcher 3-esque where in a similar way, like you play as this bounty hunter or this monster hunter, and there's lots of different like monster quests to do.
Yeah.
Like you're playing as a PI, you are Dresden, maybe
Hmm.
make it post whatever story or pre whatever story or whatever. And then you have to use it'd be kind of similar to The Witcher 3 where you're like uncovering clues and needing to craft things and upgrade. I don't know. I haven't read enough of The Witcher to or enough of Dresden.
Well, you sold me. CD Projekt Red, take note. You should uh you should contact Jim Butcher for the next
I
video game adaptation.
haven't played a really good mystery game, I don't think. That could be fun. Like a game where you're just trying to like solve mysteries and yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I want to end it on I know a lot of people are skeptical of the Elden Ring movie. I'm excited for it. I think it has a lot of potential if done right.
Okay. That's a pretty big caveat at the end of it, if done right.
I mean, if done right, meaning don't
The
do the quest.
Tarnished.
Yeah, don't do that. I don't see
Yeah.
how that could ever work. But
Um, all right. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to this episode of Fantology. It's more of just a Jake Ryan mess around. We'll have to do another one soon, Jake. Maybe something I'm trying to think of like some of our other common interests, like maybe like matching musical artists with like video game worlds and being like they should write the
oh
like
yeah,
a
the theme
soundtrack
song. Yeah.
to this where you're like, what would it sound like if Kendrick Lamar and Elden Ring
Hmm.
mixed or something? I don't know,
Oh
something weird
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, if we go in like, okay, we have five artists and we have to like come up with
Yeah.
what series should they write the soundtrack to? Yeah, I love that idea. I
All
love
right.
it.
Well, we'll have to make it happen. Until then, this has been your friendly neighborhood nerds, Jake Ryan. Thanks, Jake. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.